What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Today we are back on the E36 M3, and today we're going to focus on some of the cosmetics of the car. Now obviously the cosmetics aren't nearly as important as the mechanical stuff when it comes to getting this car out on track, but I do want this car to look put together. I want it to look semi-decent, and just the way it is right now, I'm not very happy with it. And so what we got going on today is we're going to try to accomplish two things. First, this part of the bumper, when I picked the car up, looked like it had some damage, and it was causing this trim piece to not be able to snap in properly. It was kind of hanging loose. It was being held on by some duct tape, and I didn't really like that. It looked like someone had attempted to fix it, but they just didn't do a very good job. And so I spent a little bit of time last night. I didn't really film any of it because I was kind of on a time crunch with the lighting, but I did spend some time last night sanding down the old attempted repair, stripping off the old Bondo, and essentially reshaping this section with some fiberglass reinforced Bondo, which, if you're unaware, it's supposed to be a lot stronger than just traditional Bondo. But I spent some time, I worked this section a little bit, and I was able to get it to about 80 to 90% of what I was hoping to accomplish. Essentially, I was able to kind of remake the section of the bumper that allows for the bottom part of this to snap in properly, but the top part of this trim piece still cannot snap in properly. It still kind of wants to shake loose. It doesn't fully pop off, you know, from back there. I'm sure it looks like it's on there the way it's supposed to be on there, but from my angle, I can see that it wants to come out, and I want to try to address that. Now, the second thing we're hoping to accomplish today is I've finally decided that I am going to wrap this car. The reason I am going to wrap this car is because back when I had my F10, my 535, I wrapped that car in a 3M satin dark gray, and once everything was said and done, I had about 20 feet left of that wrap. And you know, after looking on some sites and looking up what you need to wrap a small car like this, I only need about 20 to 30 more feet of wrap to wrap this whole entire car. And from a cost perspective, from a financial perspective, I could essentially make this car all one color and look clean and put together as cheap as I can by simply buying what I need left of that color to wrap this car, versus maybe buying a whole different color, which would require a whole different roll, or of course trying to paint the car, which would be significantly more expensive. And so what we're going to do today is we are going to take the front bumper off. We're going to try to finalize this repair, and then while the front bumper's off, I want to prep it, you know, the rest of the bumper, and get it ready for the eventual wrap that will come at some point in the future. Like I said, not the most exciting mod, but the end goal with this car is to get it to how I see it in my head, the vision I have for this car, and any step, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction. And that's the whole idea, man. I think just doing anything and making any amount of progress is going to keep the motivation going for working on this car, and that is the goal, man. I want to keep working on this car, and sometimes that means doing the not so fun stuff, and then, you know, the more I do the not so fun stuff, the more I can get to the fun stuff, which, you know, is obviously getting into the mechanicals, getting into the suspension, and dialing in this car the way I want to. All that being said, I'm going to get the front end of the car up. I'm going to get the part of the splitter off that needs to come off to be able to gain access to take the front bumper off, and then we'll get the front bumper off and get to trying to finalize this repair. Alright, so as you can see, I have the bumper off of the car, and now I could start prepping it. I did make a little mistake. I accidentally, when I had this flipped on the backside, I needed to remove that like kind of bash bar, and I just kind of got confused and saw Bondo back here and assumed it was from the previous repair and started messing with it, and ended up pulling this out, so I gotta go back and fix that again, but not a problem. It's off, so it should be a little easier. But this is what I wanted to show you. So the issue I'm having is if you look on the top, do you see how it just kind of slides out like that? Like, I'm not yanking it hard at all, but the bottom is in there. Like, so look, that's in, and then listen to it. Ready? See that? The bottom clips in, but the top does not clip in. And so from the back side, I have to repair that so that way it clips in on this top portion of the trim piece as well. And then obviously, while I have it apart, I'm gonna sand it all and try to prep it as best I can to get it ready for wrap. And obviously now I gotta fix this hole again, but yeah, pretty straightforward. I'm just gonna go ahead and take this off and start bondoing and see if I can come up with a good solution. I'll show you guys when I have it figured out. Alright, so it's a couple hours later and I fixed this hole like I was talking about, and I think I was able to secure this better than it was. I explained how, I don't know if you guys can see it back there, probably not, but basically how these just kind of snap in place and how the bottom was snapping in properly but the top wasn't. I tried to come up with a method to be able to kind of make a cutout back here to be able to snap this in, and I wasn't really able to figure it out. But what I did instead was I kind of added more material down here as well as right here. So now when the bottom does snap in, this whole piece is kind of just like sandwiched in tighter than it was. And so if you see, I'm like tugging on it pretty good and it's not coming out. So I think it's a lot more secure than it was. Not only that, but you guys just saw I did wet sand this entire bumper. As you could see, it's there was a couple of spots that needed addressing, but overall it is all smooth and it should in theory be ready to be wrapped. So it's gonna be a little redundant. I'm gonna go ahead and toss this back on the car, but I just don't know at what point I'm gonna have the time to actually start wrapping this car, so I don't want to keep it apart like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and start putting this back together and then see what the car looks like when it's back on the ground. Alright, so we're all done with the car. It's back on the ground. The front bumper is on. The front splitter is on. It's in full race car mode. I scooted it out, or I pulled it out rather, all the way, the max that it can be, because I think it matches the aesthetic with the wing on it now. But yeah, overall, I think it was a successful day. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I think, you know, even baby steps are still steps in the right direction. So I'd call today maybe a lowercase W, not an uppercase W. You know, small win, not a big win, but it was a necessary thing, and I'm really stoked because this trim piece no longer is loose. It's really secure in there. I'm not worried about it coming loose when I'm driving the car or looking really janky when I'm trying to take pictures and videos and stuff of the front end of this car. So really stoked on that. Not only that, you guys saw that I did sand this whole entire bumper. I started off with some really aggressive sandpaper to try to even out any high and low spots if I could find any anywhere. I bondoed a couple of spots that I saw that had pretty significant dents in it, and then I went over the whole thing after that with 800 grit, and then again I wet sanded it with 2000 grit, and so the whole front bumper is really smooth, and I think once it's clay barred, it should be ready for wrap. Now I don't know if that will be the immediate next thing I do on the car. I do have some parts I want to order and get installing on the car that are more just driver focused, drivability focused, not so much cosmetically focused, but nonetheless, it is another thing down, another project done, and I'm excited to have made some progress on the car this weekend. So let me know what you guys think. Definitely subscribe so you don't miss any other mods that we do to the car, or any progress that's made on this car if you want to see it. Again, we're taking this thing to the track next track season, so you definitely don't want to miss that. I've never been, so it'll be a cool little process to document from the beginning to end, getting the car to the track for the very first time. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I appreciate you checking it out. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.